All right. Well, welcome tonight, guys. Tonight we've got an excellent program for you and an exciting speaker, and I'll let him tell his story. But thank you for being here tonight, guys. And we do these events. We have 5 such events that take place during this academic year, where it's required attendance. And we know many of you have had a long day, but I'm so thankful you're here tonight. I'm going to go ahead and open in prayer, and then I'll hand it over to our chaplain. So let's bow our heads and let's pray. Well, Father, we just thank you so much for loving us. We thank you for the gift of life. Thank you for Ottawa University. Thank you for every student who is here and their families and every family that is represented by the students that are here. I just ask for your hand to continue to be upon us and upon this evening in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. And glory to God. Please welcome Dr. John Halstetter.
All right, so admittedly, this is my favorite event, mainly because I get you all here. Let me tell you a little bit about the history of Adventures in Faith, which is what you're here for. In 1976, a mentor and amazing man named Roger Fredrickson, for whom he and his wife, this particular space is named, started this program. And it's really changed through the years. For a long time, we would invite the community. You know what? We're getting to the point now where we have students and faculty. I don't have a lot of community room. When Roger, before his death, and I were talking about how do we make this more meaningful, we were working on a change of our mission statement, and we got an interesting call into our alumni office from a student who said, "I do not feel that I was prepared to make a significant difference." Okay. If you don't know, we're here to prepare you for a life of significance. And so Roger, who was an amazing pastor and a good friend, and I talked, and I was like, I really feel like we do a lot. Students have the opportunity to make tangible differences every day. And what I realized is maybe we didn't always tell you about it. What's more, maybe we didn't always inspire you to sign up to make things better. And lastly, maybe we didn't help you understand that making a significant difference isn't always broad. Sometimes it's deep. Making a significant difference sometimes is as simple as seeing the news and wanting to do something about it. And since that time, with Roger's blessing, both earth and heaven, and good people, we have instilled a bunch of programs so that you can emerge from this school not only equipped, but already making a significant difference. So let me tell you what's on the agenda tonight. We want you to hear from somebody who just graduated and is already out making a significant difference. We want you to see the people that are already what we call coaches and assistant coaches in my world, who you know from school, who want you to come help them make a significant difference. We want you to hear from somebody who's been out of school for a while to understand that this isn't just avocation, but vocation. That you don't have to be a minister to make a difference for God. You don't have to be a politician to make a difference for country. At the end of the day, what you learn here is to make a difference in the world, as our mission statement would say, in service to God, humanity, your fellow man. So first off, coaches, I want you all to come up here and show yourselves. Let me tell you a little bit about how this works. So if you are a faith coach or a coach, come up here. Faith coach or coach. So here's the deal. We have recognized for some time that we have some really amazing coaches who do work to have you make a significant difference on the field and off. So joining your coaches now are my coaches. And their intent, and a lot of the guys here and gals here you see that are active in other programs, is to take it off the field or off the court or off the stage to help you make a significant difference. These faces, each one of these faces, are people that if you want to know what you can do to make a difference, you can go to them. And I'm proud to work with all of you. Thank you. So, as we talk about stuff, imprint them in. Does everybody know who everybody is? Kind of, sort of? No? Oh, I was hoping somebody would say that because we have some new faces here. We'll start with you, new face friend.
Well, hello, everyone. My name's Connor Olney. I'm the esports head coach. Everyone just calls me Coach Olney. You can subscribe on YouTube at Coach Olney as well. Follow me.
My name's Galton Watson. I'm in my second year working with the baseball program.
I'm Chris Rowan. I'm in my second year with the men's wrestling team.
Oh, we could do better than that. Let's give Chris a round of applause. All right. All right. I'm Colby Crank. I'm also in my second year with the men's wrestling program.
I'm Keith, and I work with John.
I'm Sydney, and I also work with John.
My name is Megan, and I'm the out coach.
My name is Morgan, and I am the campus ministry coach.
My name is Will, and I'm the Fellowship of Christian Athletes coach. We meet Wednesday nights, 9 o'clock in the Pelton Lounge, but not tonight because this is taking precedence. So.
All right. I'm Kyle Carpenter, and I'm the captain of Team Gotcha.
My name is Ryland, and I am the coach of Tau.
I'm Dexter Hayes, and I'm video productions coach.
I'm Garrett, and I'm doing men's Bible study on Tuesday nights at 7:30, so you should email me.
Well, I'm Lacey Henderson. I'm the graduate assistant for the lovely women's wrestling team.
Hi, my name is Paulina. I'm a graduate assistant coach for tennis, both men's and women's.
Awesome. All right, get out of there. Thank you. So the question then becomes, if you have some extra time, the who's and the where's. So there's a couple of things. First, I'd like to talk to you about an agency that this year we are recognizing as our partner of choice. And this is an interesting crew because they were actually started by people who were families of folk with special needs. And their concern was, what happens when we go to heaven and the kids are still around? And from that, they have created an amazing vocational kind of programming. And Sydney and her crew actually are working. We're going to be doing some videos for fundraising. Let's show the short clip of this agency.
I pray to God that there's some place here to take care of him when I'm gone.
We spend a lot of time trying to cover up things and not being fully honest with what life is.
That's the most rewarding, is being able to see those life-changing things for people that you've done.
We formed the Friends of COF to become a fundraising subsidy for COF.
If you picture what happens if COF isn't around, I just wanted to do what I could to help and make sure that this is there for them.
We're in an era of change, incredible change, astonishing change. This really great group of people, a generation younger than me, are well positioned to carry this on for the next 50 years. So one of the things about COF now is that the laws have changed, and so the concept before of putting people that had special needs or disabilities together to work are different. Now you have to mainstream them. Let me tell you one of the weird things that we found as far as dealing with marketing for this and why it's important to have college kids. Some of these people smile big and laugh loud, and people laugh at them. When you try to show pictures at picnics that other people would think are fun, when they see some of these people, their smiles scare them. There's prejudice that goes with people with Down syndrome. There's prejudice, and what we found is your generation doesn't have it as much. Because there's nothing worse than saying, we're here to volunteer with you, and have someone freak out because of the way you smile. Why is it important that you guys make a difference? Well, for one thing, we need to mainstream people without disabilities with disabilities. That's the way the laws are working, what this agency is about. And for another thing, because we think that you won't be as judgmental, you won't be as prejudiced, and you won't make these people feel bad. So this is one of those things where you can make a significant difference tomorrow. And you can do it in about a 15-minute chunk. Because they're a lot happier to see people your age than they are to see old men like me. There's fun and stuff that you know within music, all sorts of stuff I don't. And we have some really cool coaches that have already hooked up. They love to see people in sports. They love to support. We got a bunch of counties to do it. So again, this is a wonderful agency. Give applause to COF. We hope you would volunteer with that. So the second thing was to talk about what it's like if you sit here and then get involved, and maybe a year from now you get a cool job that allows you to do what you volunteered for a living. Part of what helped this transition that Roger and I had planned was the efforts of a young man named Kurt Hamilton, who was a soccer kid that I knew when I was soccer chaplain, who endured me for about 4 years as an undergraduate, and then stayed as a grad student and suffered through more, and truly transformed so many lives that I lost count. Kurt sadly got a real job and left me as a volunteer to go off to the wilds of Missouri. And he's doing exactly the kind of stuff that he did when he was here, except it's bigger and better and bolder, and he gets a paycheck. So, in the realms of why I think you should do this, and not just for God or country, I'd like Kurt to, first off, we're going to give you an award, and secondly, come up and tell these people what you want to tell them.
Well, thank you very much for that. So I'm very excited to be back in this building. I have a lot of great memories in this building. Not only is it where we hosted a lot of the events that John and I started with, but it's also where I met my future wife-to-be in April. So this... So I worked for John for about 6 years doing the Tao Institute, and we did a lot of different programming for high school kids and a lot of great things. Now I work in Kearney, Missouri as a program director, soon to be executive director, and I will run my own nonprofit starting in January. So it's very exciting, and something that I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight that was very important to me when I was in my school was the essence of time. So I'm going to talk about time and different dynamic, and just follow along and participate if you will. So how many of you have seen an entire TV series on Netflix before? Raise your hand. Okay. How about a couple of TV series? Be honest. All right. How many of you play video games? All right, a little less. All right. How many of you take a nap once a day? The most hands so far, looking good. Okay, how about you look on social media a few times a day? All right. So when I was in college, I found myself answering those same questions and raising my hand and participating as well. And my question was always, who cares, right? I was a 3.8 student, double major. I did well. I went to school. Everything was okay, but there was a lot of things that I just overlooked. So a lot of things would actually change for me when I was a junior in college, and it became a lot different. So when I was in junior in college, my mom was diagnosed with a brain aneurysm. And for those of you that don't know what a brain aneurysm is, it's actually a blood clot in the skull. So when my mom was laying on the operating table before she stepped into to see the surgeon, she actually had a 30% chance of surviving. And what happened was my perspective of life changed a lot. I started to look at things differently, feel differently, and kind of see life with a different purpose. So today, my mom survived that surgery. She was one of them. And not only did she survive the surgery, she is almost 90% completely cured from all that's happened. So it is a true miracle. So what did that do for me? It definitely changed my life. And when I was talking about those distractions, those were some of the things that really I paid attention to, especially when I was in college. They were some of the things that really led me. And they're okay, but definitely, in moderation. So something that somebody told me when I stepped into my new role was, if somebody would give you $86,000, we're all pretty excited about just hearing that part. Think about some of the things that you would do with it. Would you share it? Is there some people that you would share it with right away? Are there some people that you think you could help with? And what if one of your friends asked you to just have $10 out of all of that? So 86,400 is actually the number of seconds that are in a day. So if you are so willing to give $10 when you've been given so much, why can't you give 10 seconds out of your day to maybe help some more? So tonight you will hear a lot of different speeches. You will hear about volunteer opportunities. I will tell you, these are things that, might not be the most exciting to get out of bed, but each one will completely shape you. It'll be put on your resume, and it'll be a memory that you'll carry with you the rest of your life. I know it was for me, and without a lot of the things that I did here with the Tao Institute, I definitely would not be standing in front of you and leading my own nonprofit today. So, thank you.
Yay. So as you heard, Kurt's not been out of school too long. We're now going to have someone who's been out of school a bit longer, but has more of a story to tell. Adventures in Faith in an older format used to have, we'd have 7 people come. They'd have 3 minutes to speak if Roger was letting them do it. One of the things is I want you to hear the story of this person because there's some interesting history with family and school. But I also want you to hear the difference that the seeds planted in students' minds can really germinate into as you start adding vocation and avocation, as you start using and burnishing what I would call Bible practice, but civic and social issue. You don't have to necessarily be tired. You don't have to be poor. You don't have to necessarily be a pastor. You can make a difference in the world by living your life in the Ottawa spirit. So, I will let him tell you about his story, but the person we're bringing up for this year is our adventurer in faith, Mr. Angel, and he embodies the Ottawa spirit.
Thank you so much. This is a easy crowd. I see my friend George Wingard, and I see Gwen Patty, the people who are their boys were my friends growing up. Like all of you, I was a student here, and I am a little envious, Kurt, that I'm not the recent graduate, but I'm a little older than you. Unlike many of you, probably, I grew up in this building. I grew up coming here all the time. This is holy ground for me. I'm sitting here just taking in all the memories that are flooding me of this building. I'm Wiley Angel. I am the son of Wayne Angel and Betty Angel, and I make that point because my mother was integral to this university. My father was a professor here for 30 years. He was a graduate of the class of 1952. That's a long time ago. And he served here, and because my father was a professor here, a professor of economics, I got to be in this building and watch many baccalaureate services with the pomp and circumstance that goes with that, and the graduation services, and how they would line up with their cap and gown and come in the order of their seniority. There's something about that. Isn't that cool? Like something about academia where you have all these traditions, and I grew up with that. I sat right about over there one day when I was about 11 years old, and a gentleman named Alex Haley came and told about this book that he'd written about his great-something grandfather who was a slave, and called Roots, and they made a mini-series about it. And I was undone. That's why I remember exactly where I was sitting. My mother drugged me here, Gwen, and I probably didn't want to be here, but I was here, and it impacted my life. So I came to school here. There was a professor named Dr. Averitt. If you're in the library, you'll see his picture painted on the wall. And in the picture, I went and saw it today. He looks very calm and kind. And he was not calm and kind to me at all. My first year here, I spent my freshman year at the University of Kansas. I came to Ottawa my sophomore year. I was in Brown Hall. Yeah, how about that? Yeah. 3rd floor. And I had an 8 o'clock class with Dr. Averitt. And I didn't realize, coming from the University of Kansas, that professors would know when you weren't there, Reggie. They actually, so I apparently slept in. And it was 8 o'clock class, about 9:07, I hear a pound on the door. It was Dr. Averitt, who came to my dorm room. I leaned out of bed and opened the door. He ran in, he grabbed me by my shirt and said, "You will never miss my class again." So I said, okay, this is a different world than I used to live in. So Ottawa is a place that has very good memories for me. I had a group of people here who impacted my life that I was texting all day today as I walked around campus. So the people that are sitting around you, you have lifelong friends. And that matters. It matters in life when you have lifelong friends, right? So today we're here to talk about Adventures of Faith, and I have been blessed to have a career where I've had lots of opportunities to make money and to travel the world and meet a lot of people. And I can tell you that I've had the opportunity to spend time in India, in Varanasi, India, which is a really rough place. I went with a group called Living Water International. They bring fresh water wells to little children in India. Impacts lives. But I'll tell you recently what I did. I live in St. Louis, and I went 2 weeks ago on a Saturday with my wife and my son, and we volunteered at a place called Bridge of Hope, which is for homeless people. And they provide a shower during the day and food and clothing for people that don't have a home. And I talked to a man named Billy, and he told me stories about how he would steal from Bridge of Hope. And the people that were, the executive director said, "Billy, you can't steal from us because we give it to you." He said, "Oh, I didn't know that." He said, "It's okay, you can have everything, you get it." But what gets me about that is, as we go, sometimes it's easier to write a check. And I say that as a guy who's been pretty blessed. But it's harder to go be face-to-face with someone and sit with someone who has a need and to treat them as a human being. Billy made a big impact on me that day. I don't know if I made an impact on him, but he changed my life because I got to spend time with him and talk to him. Talk to him about his addictions that he had overcome. Talk to him about the children that he doesn't get to see. It broke my heart, but at the same time, I got to spend time with him. And I think Reggie, I think that's kind of what we're talking about tonight, right? It's how do we get into the community? What I love about these stories, it's local. We all have, it's easy to think about something far away, but what about the people in our own communities? How can we impact them? This building is named after Roger Fredrickson, your friend, my friend. When my father came to Ottawa University in 1948, Roger Fredrickson, I believe he was the chaplain, would that be right? And he was definitely the religion professor. He made a big impact on my father. They traveled, and my dad took a sabbatical in the 70s, and they traveled together in India, as a matter of fact. And they did my dad was doing some agriculture economics in India, and Roger Fredrickson went along. So I've known Roger Fredrickson my whole life. Roger Fredrickson came back to Ottawa when I was an adult and had 2 children. I had the age of my children, I can remember based on what they were doing to me. My son was pulling at my pants, so what's that, about 3 or 4? And my daughter was at the age when you hold them and they put their knees in your chest and try to push away like they don't want you to hold them anymore. So she was 1 or 2. And Roger Fredrickson gave this sermon at his old church, the church he was pastor of many, many years earlier. He's kind of a rock star there. And so after he gave his sermon, I went up to him, among all the other people that wanted to talk to him that day, and I said, Dr. Fredrickson, you really impacted me. You changed me. I really want to figure out how to do something with my life. I want to impact the world the way you were talking about today. My mother volunteers. My father's been a college professor for 30 years. He gave back to so many people. I want to do that. And Dr. Fredrickson looked at me, and I've got this little boy tugging at my pants and this little girl in my arms. And he looked at me, and he just kind of puzzled, and he said, Wiley, your hands are kind of full right now. And I thought, wow, this is supposedly Roger Fredrickson. He's supposed to be a big deal. And that's all he's got for me? That's his profound wisdom for me? Your hands are kind of full right now? And then somebody else pulled him away, and he went off. He was whisked off to talk to someone else. And I drove home, and I was kind of disappointed. What's the point? Well, I'm still talking about it, for one thing, so it must have been pretty profound. That was a long time ago. That's 30, almost 30 years ago. His point was there's a season for everything. And at that point in my life, I needed to take care of those little kids. And I needed to go to work, and I needed to pay for get my house paid for. I needed to do a lot of things. Other phases of our lives, we can impact other things in the world, right? You guys are at a unique part of your life where you're busy. By the way, pretty cool answer on the nap thing. When do you get to, how many people get to nap? I haven't napped since I was in college. I need to start napping again. So you guys have, it's good, do nap. I like that. I'm not disparaging napping. But you have some time on your hands where you can go out into the community and make a difference. And then, in a couple of classes I was in today, I was asked about investing money and should you guys at your age invest money. And I think I surprised some of the students that I said, maybe if you've got some extra money, but in the meantime, you might want to pay off your car or pay off your student loans. I believe in the miracle of compound interest. I know how to do math, but there's a time and a place for everything. And at this stage of your life, you have organizations and these coaches. Awesome job. How about those coaches? They're amazing. That was awesome. I love that. Sometimes we have a hard time finding where we fit in. How do we find a place to connect? And you saw them right up here. I wanted to join one of those groups and get up and do it. Bible study on Thursday nights. Who'd have thought? So anyway, I think that's an important thing that we can all do. I want to tell a story about my dad. My dad was, as I said, a college professor here for 30 years. In 1986, he was appointed to the Federal Reserve Board by President Reagan, confirmed by the Senate, by a friend of his named Bob Dole, who kind of took care of those things for him. He served as a Federal Reserve governor from 1986 to 1994. When my father was a professor, he was referred to as Dr. Angel. When my father was at a Federal Reserve branch, or at the main office in D.C. and at the Federal Reserve building, he was referred to as Governor Angel. He left the Fed in 1994, and he went to Wall Street, and he was on television all the time. He was on CNBC and CNN, and he was a face that people recognized. And I'm in the business, in a business of investments, so I would go to New York City, and I would go to dinner with my father. This is late 90s. And I wanted to have dinner with my dad. And what would happen was people would come up to him, and they would see him, and they would say, Mr. Angel, I saw you on television. Mr. Angel, I read your op-ed in the Wall Street Journal about exchange rates. Mr. Angel, could you tell me about your commodity price rule? And those were people that had seen him on television. If someone came up to us at dinner and said, Governor Angel, tell me something about the Federal Reserve, he'd say, oh, what Federal Reserve branch do you work at? But here's the key point to the whole thing. If someone came up to the table at a restaurant in New York City and said, Dr. Angel, it's so good to see you, he would say, when did I have you in class? And my dad, he's 89 now, he was a pretty young-looking guy for his age, wasn't he? Is that true? These people know him. George knows him. And sometimes I think, those people are got to be way older than him. How did he have him in class? Hey, he was a professor here starting at the age of 23, so he's a pretty young guy. But what he would always do is invite those people, if they called him Dr. Angel, He would ask, when did I have you in class? And they would tell him when. And then he would invite them to eat with us, which kind of made me mad, to be honest. I wanted to have dinner with my dad. But the point of this story is, being a professor here and impacting lives of people like you, he will tell you unequivocally most important thing he ever did in his life. He was a Fed governor. He traveled the world. He would go to G10, G12 meetings. He would spend time with international leaders. He would represent the United States in China and India and Japan. And yet the most important thing he ever did was be a professor to people like you. It's pretty good, right? I like that. So, at some point in the next week, thank your professors. Spend time with them. Ask them questions. Whatever you can do to spend time with them, because they're dedicating their lives to you and their time to you, and that's important. And then you can pass that along by going to all these projects that were talked about today. You can impact people's lives by going out into the community and giving back from all the things that you have. And I love the thing about time. What a beautiful analogy about time. You have time, so spend time on that. What a great thing to do. So I just want you guys to know that Ottawa University means everything to me. It means everything to my family. I was with my mom and dad 2 weeks ago in California, and I told my dad I was going to be doing this, and I said, what should I tell them? And he told me, you tell the students that the world is in front of them, and keep dreaming big, and don't ever stop dreaming, because this place will lead you out into the world, and you can change the world. And that's what Ottawa University is. You guys have people from all over here, right? There's people from all over the world. I had a couple of international students I talked to today. When I was here, I had some great friends from Argentina and Venezuela. What a great experience to get to meet so many different people. So you're so blessed to be here. And this is so cliche to say, but this time will pass quickly. So take it all in, absorb it, spend your time doing all the things that you want to do, and impact the world in ways that you would never have known that you could, and all the ripple impacts from all those things. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and be back home. It's a great place. It's a great university, and what a great chance to have so many friends and friendly faces I get to see as I'm here. Makes it so fun for me. On behalf of my family, I just want to say thank you for being at Ottawa. Thank you for what you're going to do, and to all the professors and staff, and to Kevin and Reggie, thank you so much for your leadership. It means what you're doing here matters, and all these students are going to go out into the world and change the world. So thank you very much.
All right, so this is that last point. So here's the deal. If you take a look at your program, and I'm not saying the community folk that are here could not do it too, but what we are driving is for everyone here to at least fill out the name section, because that will start your avocational transcript. Now, we are going to have people come out and try to have you sign up for things. You do not have to. But you do have to fill out the section where you put your name and your email and your phone. Because never again do I want to have a call from anyone saying that you did not have the opportunity to make a significant difference. That you did not have the opportunity now to come back in a year or 10 or 20 or 30 and testify about how much you have done and how much you spread the Ottawa spirit. So if you have a section, come out and grab that section, guys. There you go. And if you're sitting in a section, know that some people are going to come around and make you sign up right now. All right, friends, and once you have completed that program, that is your escape ticket out of here to cookies. So what I would tell you is, once you turn them in, we have cookies and snacks out there in the back. Thank you. Fill them out. Bless you. And we will see you doing things.